Okay. Hello, Buckeye fans or whoever, college football fans. And this is Two Legs Better. And I apologize for the previous one because I was still trying to test things out. And even for this one, I'm still trying to test. So I'm not sure I can, I'm not sure what to expect from this yet. But anyway, so in this episode, I want to talk about the current affairs between Ryan Day and the fans, and I want to introduce many historical data to put things in perspective. I'm not trying to change anybody's mind, but to me, it feels like that Ryan Day is like a wife, to a lot of Buckeye fans, because it feels like before Ryan Day becomes the head coach, he's like perfect. He's intelligent, he's a great offensive mind, and he wins games. He does all the right things. He's liked by everybody, and he recruits great. He's like a perfect, right? Until you marry him, right? When he became the head coach, and the first couple years, it was like a honeymoon. It was good. It was even great. But then things start to get bumpy. So some things are still great, but some of the annoying habits start to loom large. It's like he snores too much, right? Too loud, and makes you wonder what could have been, and you start to compare him with your exes. So what I'm trying to do here is to compare him to some of the exes we have and see how, just to put things in perspective. All right. So now, the first guy I want to compare him to, of course, is our beloved Woody Hayes. He's basically synonymous to Ohio State football. So you got to compare to him, right? So for Woody's first 3 years were not really great. Okay, he lost only like 3 games in each of the first 3 years, but he only won like 4, 6, and 6 in these years as well, and the team didn't really do well. But he did win the national championship in his fourth year. But now, that's all good. But if you look down the line, I don't know if you can see my screen here, but if you check his record after that, it's not always, rosy, because back then you don't play as many games. So although he rarely lose more than 3 games a year, but he, also doesn't really win like 10, 11 games a year either. So that's him. And he did win 3 national championships in about 20 years. But ever since the 1968 national championship, and after that, he almost had a great teams every year, but was locked in the 10-year war against Michigan, and so never had a national championship after that. That's for 10 years without a national championship. So that's Woody Hayes, and also he had a couple of head coach experience before the become Ohio State's head coach. Now, that's Woody. Okay, after Woody, it was Earl Bruce. Earl Bruce actually, his team never lost more than 3. Well, except for the last year. In the first few years, he never lost more than 3 games a year, but he also never won too many. And people think he had good games against Michigan, but the record overall is 5-4, so 5 wins and 4 losses, and the team's ranking was never above number 4. And the year when he was fired, the team didn't really do well, although they did win the game that year. So that's Earl Bruce. And then comes the John Cooper. John Cooper miraculously stayed as Ohio State's head coach for 13 years, despite never really won national championship and abysmal in the game. He lost the 10 games and tied one and only won twice in his 13-year tenure there. It's not like he always had bad teams. He had some good teams there and still lost the game. But you look at his record, the first year he only won 4 games, and then the second year 8 games and lost 4. The third year that's won 7, and then won eight games. So if you look at his record, he's not really good at the first 5-6 years, by whatever standard you have. Okay, and then in the middle he had a few good years, and then in the 1999 and 2000 he had 6-6 and 8-4, and that's when he was fired. And so his record, you can see, not very well. It depends on what you see, but he did stay as the head coach for 13 years. Okay, and now that's Jim Tressel. The Senator is great. The Senator, he came the second year. The first year he won the game, and the second year he won the national championship. But if you look at his tenure as a whole, he was the head coach for 10 years, and in those 10 years, his record against Michigan was great. He only lost once and won 9 games out of the 10 tries, so that's great. But in the national stage, he appeared in the BCS national championship game twice, and but lost both. And actually 3 times, right? He won 1 and lost twice later. And his bowl record was 6-4. So you know what I mean? It's okay. It's even good, but is it great? Well, I don't know. And then comes Urban Meyer from 2012 to 2018. Meyer, of course, is a Wolverine killer. He won the game all the time. But if you recall, there were several close calls. Okay, it could go either way. It literally could go either way. You just ask any Wolverine fans, right? It could go either way. And he also won a national championship in his 3rd year. And he had undefeated season the first year and ranked 3 in the final poll. So those are great achievements. And his teams did great. He never lost more than 2 games a year. Okay, so that's his record there, and you can see, it's pretty nice. Now, about Ryan Day, this is Ryan Day's record. He never lost more than 2 games a year. He has been the head coach for 7 years. Okay, now he doesn't have a national champion yet, and he was in the national championship game once and semifinal once. So, and his bowl record is he won twice and lost 5 times. And there's also the famous talk about how he cannot win the big games, and also how he lost the game, the record there. Okay, I'm going to talk about those games a little bit later, and I don't want to. He's my coach, right? So even if I defend him, it's nothing wrong with it. But I don't want to sound like a apologizer or something. I just want to. I try to be objective, to describe the scenario, the situation, and just kind of try to put things in a perspective. Now, the thing about this is, you think about people's careers. Okay, it is rarely the case for anybody at a competitive position to do it right the first time. You can hope all you want. You can say, well, this is Ohio State. Well, Ohio State is still just one team in a very competitive landscape, and we just let's just see what it really is. Okay. Um, you look at Ryan Day, you compare him to, now I just compare to all the exes, right? All the ex coaches. Now you can compare to some other greats as well. You think about Nick Saban. Nick Saban won his first national championship on his second head coaching job when he was 52 years old in his ninth head coaching season. Of course, his first several was at Michigan State, but then he was at LSU, and in his, I think it's fifth season he won, or fourth. So that's 52. Remember, so that's Nick Saban. His first national championship is that, and the other one is Kirby Smart. Kirby Smart might be one of the most acting successful coaches right now. And he won his first national championship when he was 46 years old in his sixth season at Georgia, of course. So, yeah, of course, he won 2 in a row. Now, here's Ryan Day. Ryan Day is 45 years old this year, and his sixth season at his first head coaching job. Now, I want Buckeye fans to play with all the scenarios here. A few things. It's just like some random thoughts, okay? So I'm not trying to educate anybody, or well, I guess I am, but I'm not trying to change anybody's mind or feelings because you feel the way you feel. I'm just trying to put it into context and perspective. Like I said, it's rarely that somebody can do things for the first time and get it right away, okay? For Ryan Day, this is his first head coaching job. It's conceivable. Let's say we fire him. Okay, let's say Ohio State fire him. And this will be his experiment, his learning experience. And then he moves on to the second job. He might become a great, he might become another Nick Saban. From all we see, his attitude, his knowledge, his mind, his intelligence, his leadership even, I think he has the ability to do that, So do we really want to be like that? The ex that, you divorced your wife and then find out she had a great life after you, had a better life, or something. And the alternative is we be patient and supportive and see if, he can learn from his mistake and build upon that and to become successful. Now, I understand, I'm not a decision maker here, so I'm not going to decide whether to keep him or fire him. I can't also change people's mind either. But what I do want to talk about is I want to look at what happened to Ryan Day in the past few years and to see if those things are fixable, okay? Because it's okay to fail in life. It really is okay. Everybody does that. But can you learn from it? Can you grow from it? Can you fix it? Okay. So Ryan Day took over in 2019. And I know Jim Harbaugh said, he's like a third base, inherited a great team or whatever. But it's really not fair because his recruiting actually is at least on par with Urban Meyer's, if not better. Okay, so his recruiting is great there. By the way, recruiting can be a double-edged sword as well, because when you are recruiting well, people think you have to win. Although it's college kids, so it doesn't really work that way, but still. But anyway, he had a great team. He inherited a great team from Urban Meyer, and he's continued to recruit well. He has great staff in terms of recruiting, mostly recruiting. So I emphasize that because in 2019 he did a few of the things. For especially he hired his longtime friend as defensive coordinator. I suddenly forgot his name. Defensive coordinator. Yeah, that's Jeff Hafley. And Jeff was his longtime friend and came from NFL to help him coaching. And Jeff, of course, is a great guy and a great football mind. And that year, Buckeyes were very successful. Great on defense, great on offense. And I was really looking forward to a final between Buckeyes to LSU Tigers. Of course, Tigers had a historically great offense that year, but Buckeyes had a great defense that year as well. So it would be a great matchup. But then the semifinal against the Clemson Tigers happened. Um, that is a game up to your opinions. Okay, there are a few controversies like you know, the catch fumble controversy and the targeting thing, and J.K. got injured, and then the final miscommunication between Fields and Olave. If that's a touchdown, if they didn't miscommunicate, instead of interception, um, Justin Fields could run it in or throw a touchdown. But anyway, so again, I'm not trying to make excuse. I'm trying to say that it's basically it's literally one play away from a victory. If they win that game, and they may still lose the final national championship game, but that will be a different story, right? So that is kind of forgivable. That's kind of the kind of losses almost feels like a win to a lot of the home base fans, I suppose. A lot of people give him the leeway, say, you lost, but you're unlucky, your first try. All right, it's all good. And then this year, 2020. The year 2020 was a wacky year, right? Because of COVID and all those stuff and things like that. And of course, the Michigan dodged the bullet and just, get out of the game. And so they didn't play. But Ryan Day's team still did well, and then got the revenge against the Clemson by dominating that game, but then lost to possibly one of the greatest all-time Alabama team in the national championship game. That national championship game was so wacky because many Buckeye players cannot play, and of course, Bama was great that year. So again, that's like a loss. It doesn't feel like a win, but it doesn't really feel like a loss because you are expected to lose. There's no way you can win that game. So if you look at the first 2 years, everything looks rosy, looks great. You're basically the team is where it's supposed to be. Is near the top. It didn't get over the hump, but it's near the top. But then it came the 2021. And that's when the things start to kind of change. Okay, in 2021, and they lost to the team up north, to Michigan. But then they bounced back and won the Rose Bowl. And that game was so wacky. And that's also after the sign stealing. So you could say that's an excuse, but it's also objective reality. Okay, so I don't want to comment on those games. For the year 21, 22, 23, the game, I don't want to comment on that because the final verdict is not out yet. We all know what happened, but it depends on your opinion. Some people say it didn't matter. Some people said it matters a great deal. So it depends on what you mean by that, how you feel about that. So I'm not going to comment on that. So the year 2021, they won every other game, and they won the Rose Bowl, and things look great again. Okay, and then year 2022, they lost. Ryan Day lost the game again, but did manage to get into the college playoff to play against Georgia. But then the special team dropped the ball again. Well, almost kind of literally. At the last minute, the field goal didn't go in. Kirby Smart himself said Buckeyes should have won. It's great for him to say that. It's really a great character for him to say that, but also it's kind of cheap way to, but because a game is a game. You miss a field goal, you lost the game, you lost the game. So there's no excuse for that. But these years between 2020 and 2022, there were a lot of shuffling, especially in the defensive side, defensive coaching side. And I understand some of the decisions he made, and I think he was trying to be nice, especially Kerry Combs. And I love the man. Kerry Combs is a very enthusiastic, great coach and a great Buckeye, but I'm not sure he was up to the task of being a defensive coordinator. But I also understand why Ryan Day gave him a chance. I think Combs deserved the chance. So that's my feelings. So, but then he tried to correct the ship and then get Jim Knowles, and that's 2023. 2023, and the defense was turning. It was good, not without issues, of course, but it was really, really good. The defense was really good, and the offense, it wasn't really up to the par of Ryan Day's standard. Basically, I don't want to kind of place it on anybody or things like that. I think, well, I suppose I should, right? I think the quarterback is a major issue, and the offensive line is a major issue. The offensive line issue has been there for years. Is persistent, and the quarterback, Kyle McCord, he has the arm talent, but somehow he never got comfortable in Ryan Day's scheme. You can see their communication. Ryan was uncomfortable with some of the things, and so did Kyle. So the chemistry between them wasn't just right. So I thought it was a good thing that they they part ways. I think it's a good thing for both parties actually. And then the income this year. This year, again, the team seems to be in great position. I can see how Ryan tried to correct all those past mistakes. For example, we usually rely on one excellent running back in the past, so we got two this year, and both of them are great. And we get a veteran quarterback to come in, and the offensive line for the first majority of the first half. Well, the beginning part of the season, the first, well, how to describe that? Anyway, so the offensive line played great until the injuries happened. So then we lost like 3 starters on the offensive line. It became a problem. But then we did win over Indiana, so that gives people hope and thinking, oh yeah, Chip Kelly and can work miracles, until it didn't, right? Because Michigan had a great defensive line, and they totally exploited Buckeyes' weakness. And that game is so wacky. This game, I'm not, I mentioned the sign stealing, and I also voiced my, opinion about Michigan, but it doesn't mean I don't respect the rivalry. And this year there was no sign stealing, so it's purely two teams compete on the field, and they had only one chance. Basically, their offense stinks, and their defense is good to great, and their strength is the D line. So if I were Sherrone Moore, what do? I try to rely on my strength, right? That's exactly what they did. Their defensive line dominated and caused a lot of problems, stalled Buckeyes' offense. Buckeyes' offense made terrible mistakes and couldn't really work. So that's essentially what happened. So, and you compare Michigan to Ohio State. Urban Meyer keep emphasizing, don't ever say Michigan doesn't have good players. They have good players, good to great players. So you got to understand that. Even if you think Buckeyes have good, better players, the gap is not that great. Especially, if the gap is not that great. It's just maybe your players are better, but we also have you have 300-pound guys. We have 300 pounds guys too. Your guy run 4.4. My guy run 4.45. So big deal. And it depends on the day, depends on the performance, depends on the motivation, depends on a lot of things, depends on execution. So it's almost preposterous to expect a win just based on talent alone. You have to play the game. So there's so many things you could point to when you have a loss, especially surprising loss, unexpected loss like that. So I'm not going to get into that for now. But anyway, get back to this year, he only lost 2 games for now. One is the rivalry game. The other one lost to the number 1 team in the country in their place by 1 point. So by reviewing that, my point is all these losses seems fixable. Okay? They all seems fixable. And also seems like he's doing the right things to fix them. The 2020 and 2021 defense was the problem, and then it got fixed by hiring Jim Knowles. And then the offensive play calling is the issue. Then he hired Chip Kelly. And, now what's the next issue to be fixed is the offensive line. The offensive line now is atrocious, and the other one is the special teams. So those are the 2 things that really need to be fixed. I think they are fixable. Well, but the thing is, if you do some things repeatedly, like lost to Michigan 4 years in a row, doesn't matter how, and then you lost some of the key games in playoff games, and it becomes a pattern. A lot of people are going to be disgruntled with you, and then the pressure will mount up. And what's important is how you deal with that, and how everybody deals with that, how the university leadership deals with that, and how Ryan Day himself deal with that, how the team deal with that. A lot of things would happen. Now it's almost like a final chance. Okay, the playoff game against the Tennessee. Tennessee is not a very good matchup for Ohio State. By that I mean, they actually, a lot of people say it's an enhanced version of Michigan. It's kind of true because their defensive line is also very good, and their offense is competent at least. So now, can Buckeyes win? Oh yeah, they have the chance to win. They could win, but will they win? I don't know. We'll see. So, but get back to my key point for this episode is, you think about Ryan Day as your wife. Do you cherish him, support him to help him correct his mistakes and be successful, or you divorce him, find a better one? My point is, yeah, you can try to find a better one. You just good luck. Who's going to be a better one? Marcus Freeman, you think he would come? Mike Vrabel, even Luke Fickell. I mean, who are you going to get? You're going to Kirby Smart? You think he would come? And maybe Dan Lanning, he would come? So the thing is, I don't know. It's my perspective as a fan is like, I look at the team is almost like looking at my child. He's going to grow, he's going to fall, and I'm just curious to see how he performs. But do I get disappointed sometimes? Maybe, but do I kind of disown him? I'm not at that point yet. Anyway, so that's like my perspective on this, and well, I hope it's a good conversation to some of you. So, all right, if you're interested in listening to me talk about Buckeye football, and subscribe and come back later. I will talk to you more about that.